Tigers have taken the field for Game 3 of this American League Championship Series on a frigid Friday. On a Friday the 13th, no less. The starting lineup for the A's brought to you by Hyundai. Jason Kendall behind the plate. Mark Kotsay in center. Milt Bradley 6 of 9 with a couple of home runs so far in the series in right. Frank Thomas hitless as a DH. Jay Payton in left. Eric Chavez at third. And a ladder third of Nick Swisher, Marco Scutaro, and D'Angelo Jimenez. And starting at 4, the Tigers coming off the brilliant division series start against the New York Yankees. His first ever postseason win is 41-year-old left-hander Kenny Rogers, a 17-game winner during the regular season. And his pitcher profile is brought to you by your Exxon and Mobil retailer.
Kenny Rogers 10-1 in his last 15 starts against Oakland. He's a 3-pitch pitcher. He's got a sinking fastball, curve, and a change. He will throw in to pitch away. He's going to live away from most of the right-handed hitters. And he's one of those guys that makes great adjustments to his game plan. If one thing isn't working, very quickly he recognizes that and tries to go somewhere else.
Refreshingly smooth Bud Light. Always worth it. They're waving the white towels here at Comerica Park. Of course, they won their only 2 games they played here against the Yankees, winning that series 3-1. And here they are playing in an American League Championship Series in this ballpark for the first time ever. The first time Tiger fans have seen an LCS game since 1987. And Jason Kendall settles in, 2 hits and 8 at-bats so far in the LCS. Kenny Rogers gets a sign from Pudge Rodriguez, delivers ball 1, and we are underway in Detroit. Rogers in that outing against the New York Yankees, 7 2/3 innings, 5 hits, no runs. He walked only 2 and struck out 8.
Look for a lot of change-ups, a lot of backdoor breaking balls to the right-handers.
2-0 delivery is in there, strike. Rogers 1-3 in the postseason in his career, and that victory his last start, as we mentioned, against New York. An earned run average of nearly 6.5 in 10 games, 6 of them starts. On the ground, deep in the hole at short, and Kendall starts things for Oakland with an infield hit. Take a look at the Tigers defensively. Greg Monroe in left field, Curtis Granderson in center, Maglio Ordonez in right. The big change at short, Ramon Santiago starts there. Polanco joins him in the middle infield. Inge and Guillen on the corners after the injury in Game 1 to Sean Casey. And Rogers, a 4-time Gold Glove winner on the mound. He's also the possessor of the best pickoff move in Major League Baseball.
One of the best fielding pitchers in all of baseball.
Mark Kotsay, 4 hits and 8 at-bats. And he looks at a fastball, strike 1.
And with the probability of Rogers throwing more ground balls, Santiago was inserted in the lineup by Leland. Showed great range on that last base hit.
Kotsay had 3 hits in Game 2, including a pair of doubles. A breaking ball sweeps away from him. 1 ball and 1 strike. Kotsay, not only the 3 hits in Game 2, was on base 4 times and scored 2 runs. Last time the Oakland Athletics played in a game where the temperature was less than 45 degrees, you have to go back 6 years ago. The last postseason game was also in Cleveland between the Marlins and the Indians. That was in the '97 World Series. But again with the wind chill, and the wind is blowing at about 15 to 20 miles per hour today. The temperature may say 44 degrees, but the wind chill already down in the 30s.
And I don't buy all the people out there saying that Detroit has an advantage because they play in this weather sometimes. They haven't played a game in the 40s since April.
Popped up into foul ground. Inge. What a play by Brandon Inge.
Watch this. He doesn't even care that there's a wall in his way. He's going for the ball, total concentration, little snow cone. Ball almost pops out of there. Maybe the fan helped him keep the ball in his glove.
Well, he got lucky that the fan kept him on the field, because if you catch that ball on the field and go into the stands, the base runner advances the base. So there's a helping hand by a Detroit fan already here early in the ball game.
Push him back out there.
That's it.
And by the way, that snow cone wouldn't have melted today. Straight away center field off the bat of Milton Bradley. Anderson thought it was hit well. It was hit off the end of the bat. And Bradley, who has 6 home runs in his first 9 at-bats, is out on the first pitch from Rogers, 2 away. Well, now Frank Thomas. He made the final out in game 2 with the bases loaded, representing the winning run on a fly ball to center field, capping off an 0 for 5 night. And Thomas is hitless in 8 trips so far in the LCS. You're talking about your top 2 run producers in Thomas and Nick Swisher. Not a single hit between them. You can forget about the starting pitching. The A's are still not going to win.
Well, you need to score runs, but remember, they've got a great record when they score 4 runs or more. They scored 5 the second game. Their starting pitching gave up 8.
Well, Kenny Rogers is not going to throw anything near Frank Thomas's hitting zone. He's got him down 0-2 in this count. He's not going to throw a pitch that's anywhere near the strike zone now. He doesn't care if he walks Frank Thomas. He will not let Frank beat him.
Drills him in the left thigh with a fastball.
It's so cold, though. Frank right now is just feeling that it hit him. This is the kind of cold that numbs your reflexes. Ball hits him.
That might have hurt the baseball instead of Big Frank.
You're not hurting Frank.
That brings Jay Payton to the plate. 3 hits and 8 at-bats. See Payton's postseason numbers very good. 7 of 22 with an RBI, and the A's with a scoring chance here in the opening inning. An infield hit by Kendall. 2 outs later, Thomas hit with an 0-2 pitch, and here's Payton. Down strike 1.
Payton got a little anxious there. Runners in scoring position.
That's because they've been so bad with runners in scoring position. It seems like every guy that comes up there with an opportunity to drive a run in may feel the pressure of their past performance.
Now the A's did go 3 for 8 with runners in scoring position in game 2, which lifted their average in this postseason to 140. On the ground to Brandon Inge. A couple of nice plays, including one of the spectacular variety by Inge. The League Championship Series on Fox is sponsored by your Exxon and Mobil retailers for drivers too, by MasterCard, and by the new Hyundai Azera. It may be the most car for the money ever. Tigers coming to bat. And let's take a look at Jim Leland starting lineup, brought to you by Hyundai. It'll be Granderson in center, Greg Monroe in left, Placido Polanco at second, Ordonez in right, Carlos Guillen at first, Pudge Rodriguez catching, Omar Infante, his first start of the series as the DH. Brandon Inge is at third, and also the first start in this postseason for Ramon Santiago. And on the mound is young Rich Harden, a native Canadian from Victoria, British Columbia. Made only 9 starts during the year in his pitching profile, brought to you by your Exxon and Mobil retailers.
As you talked about before, Tommy, all those 9 starts, they won every one of those games. He's got a great changeup. He had those previous control problems, and extension is the key for him. 2 reasons. Extension as far as his delivery is concerned, and throwing into the 6th or 7th inning, maybe given that bullpen that's been a little overworked, with a couple guys unavailable. Duke Shirt probably will not throw in this game. He's got to get deep in the ballgame.
And Harden out of the strike zone. His first 2 pitches to the leadoff man, center fielder Curtis Granderson. 4 hits and 10 at-bats. When Harden is healthy, there are people in the American League that will tell you he is the best pitcher in the American League. He has unbelievable stuff. But he had 2 stints on the disabled list, and that's really been his MO since coming to the major leagues. He only made 22 starts last year, did make 31 the year before that. But he's been on the disabled list every season the last 3 years. And a 4-pitch walk starts the game.
He made a start in instructional league because he didn't get the pitch in the divisional series, and he walked 6 guys in that start. Usually doesn't have trouble with control, but all of a sudden he does.
A's on defense, same group we've seen in the first 2 games of this series. Tate, Kotsay, and Bradley in the outfield. Chavez, Scudero, Jimenez, Swisher third to first, Harden and Kendall the battery. Back in April, Harden went on the disabled list with a muscle strain in his back. Missed a month. And then missed 94 games from the beginning of June until September the 20th with a sprained ligament in his right elbow. And he has not thrown a strike yet.
And that was a concern of pitching coach Kurt Young. He was really concerned with this cooler weather. The fact that he hasn't had many starts, as you alluded to, Steve, the command would be a problem, and so far it has been.
Look at him. He's not even wearing sleeves. He's from Canada.
Greg Monroe, the batter. 2 hits and 7 at-bats with a couple of runs batted in. 3-0. Mercy, mercy, mercy.
That pitch there was called down in the strike zone by Darrell Cousins. When a pitcher is struggling, the umpires won't expand that strike zone.
There's the first strike on the 8th pitch thrown in the game by Rich Harden. Harden, a 17th round draft choice back in June in 2000. And came racing his way up through the Athletics minor league system, dominating at every level. And there's a strike. He was only in the minor leagues for 2 years and 2 months. His stuff is that good. You saw the note a moment ago. Opponent's batting average 198, the lowest among all starters in baseball the last 2 years.
I think the runner will be going here on this 3-2 pitch.
He is. And a base hit through the vacant hole. Granderson makes the turn and goes to third, and here come the Tigers.
And that is the problem pitching in running counts. Somebody's got to be covering. Monroe found the right hole.
Well, that play almost ended up like a perfect hit and run. You see Jimenez at second base. He has to go cover the base. Where does the ball go? Right where he used to be. Obviously, what you try to get your middle infielders to do, if they're going to cheat straight in. You're not supposed to go cover the bag before the ball crosses the plate. That way you won't get caught in that situation, especially in a double play situation. You're cheating towards the bag anyway.
Now Placido Polanco, 4 hits and 8 at-bats through the first 2 games of this LCS, including a run batted in, and he has been a monster during this entire postseason. 11 hits and 25 at-bats.
You can see that Placido doesn't like that cold weather too much. He's got that hood under that batting helmet. What is that?
There's a lot of hoods in the ballpark today.
I don't know what they call that.
We need one up here.
2-1.
Boy, this was Oakland's worst nightmare, to have this young guy on the mound, Harden, struggling with command.
Base hit into right center field. Scoring is Granderson. Monroe makes a turn and goes to third. It's 1-0 Tigers. Polanco delivers again.
Boy, this guy can just flat out hit. You look at the turnaround in this organization, you can point to a lot of players, but the heart and soul of this offense is this guy right here. Watch the swing, good concentration, likes to go the other way. That's a good pitch to hit, but he works himself into counts where he gets good pitches to hit.
Pitching coach Kurt Young is out there talking to Harden. You know, one thing I have noticed, even though this guy is struggling, he's only thrown fastballs. And when you're struggling with your command, sometimes it's better to throw that changeup, incorporate your slider, get a feel for a different pitch. It makes you stay back longer and your control gets better.
Perhaps that's what Mr. Young just told Mr. Hart.
That would be my message. Don't go out there and jump or pump fastballs. Use your other pitches.
Two of his best pitches are the changeup and the split finger. Jason Kendall told me sometimes when he throws his changeup, it acts like a slider, believe it or not.
Rafael Ordonez looks at a fastball, strike one.
I said, Jason, what do? You put down four fingers and look for a slider? He goes, yeah, basically.
Ordonez pretty quiet so far in this LCS. 2 hits and 9 at-bats with an RBI. But the Tigers have just pounded Oakland starting pitching. Lou Piniella, you talked about it from the very start. Loaiza, 6 innings, 7 runs in game 2. Zito did not finish 4 innings in game 1 and allowed 5 earned runs. On the ground, deep in the hole. They get the force play at second. Scoring from third is Monroe. Very hard slide there by Polanco to make sure they couldn't turn the double play. 2-0 Tigers.
Well, Jimenez might be a little bit upset that he was taken out on this play because he had no intention of throwing the ball. But Polanco doesn't know that. You got to go after him.
Carlos Guillen. 10 for 23 in his postseason, 2 for 9 in the league championship series. 2 in, 1 on, 1 out, strike 1. Still fastball after fastball by Harden. Now there's an off-speed pitch that missed down and away, 1-1.
Start using that off-speed pitch, incorporate it. First of all, it makes it a little more difficult for the hitters, but just as important, it keeps the pitcher from overthrowing, Steve.
Yeah.
Guillen, a .320 batter during the regular season. Rolls over that one foul. Hit 19 home runs, had 85 runs batted in, and safe to say that Guillen was Detroit's best all-around player this season.
You know, a lot's been made about the weather. It is cold out there, but Harden, as we mentioned, is the only member of the A's out there who's not wearing sleeves. The pitcher will be the warmest guy in the ballpark.
Guillen jumping all over that pitch that ran in on his hands and pulls it foul.
Pitcher and the catcher are going to have the most movement throughout the day. Sometimes tough to get a little feel for your breaking stuff and your changeup, especially split finger if you got to get it in between your fingers and they're cold. You know, this kid's from Canada. Shouldn't be all that cold. The weather should not affect the way he throws.
On the ground, down to first. Swisher for the out there. Throw back to first. The covering Harden. The double play ends the inning, but not before the Tigers jump in front. 2-0. Kenny Rogers set to square off with Eric Chavez, Nick Swisher, and Marco Scudero the second inning. Detroit with a 2-0 lead. Our Fox sounds of the game with Eric Chavez.
Am I a team player or what, honestly? Okay. We wore 2 of these in Minnesota. And I struck out 5 times in 2 games.
Yeah.
But we won.
Yeah, keep it on, dude.
I mean, am I a team player?
Yeah.
Great stuff.
That is great stuff, but if he strikes out 5 times in these 2, they ain't gonna win.
Chavez 2 hits and 7 at bats. as a solo home run. His only 2 RBIs in his entire postseason have come on solo home runs. And the 0-2 from Rogers. Breaking ball left in the middle of the plate, in the air to right center field, but this ballpark plays very big in that park. And Granderson at the track runs it down, and Chavez thought he got it.
Well, this is the only ballpark in Major League Baseball that a home run hasn't been hit over the center field wall. And they've got a young man out there in Granderson that can go get it.
You see that line that goes from the deepest part of left center, the wall that cuts straight across to right center. Not a single home run all year long.
Leland call it, it's baseball.
Of course, he managed in Denver, Colorado before they started sticking balls in humidors.
They got him back to Pittsburgh quick, too.
In there a strike to Nick Swisher. Swisher, like Frank Thomas, 0 for the series. And during the regular year, Swisher hit 35 home runs and knocked in 95 runs.
He's really got to get it going. He's got to start hitting the ball solidly. Has not hit a ball out of the infield in this series.
1-1 to Swisher. He's in there a strike. Look at the trio of Thomas, Swisher. Now, Scudero they weren't counting on before the postseason began, but he knocked in 6 runs in the division series, and that trio without a single hit, and they struck out half the time.
Well, Scudero doesn't belong in that trio. Scudero just your slick fielding shortstop hitting 8th in the lineup.
But expectations create disappointment. And when you drive in 6 runs during a 3-game sweep in the division series, perhaps the A's saying, okay, well, we know you're not going to do that the next round, but a little bit of something.
Well, that's like finding a wallet on a Friday night looking for one on Sunday and Monday, too.
3-2 to Swisher. Swisher played at Ohio State University. His #1 Buckeyes are playing up the road in East Lansing, Michigan tomorrow. But they'll be kicking off about an hour before Game 4 here.
And the reason I mention that, it's hard to expect your 8th hitter to be one of your carriers consistently.
(3-2) on Nick Swisher. On the ground, foul. For those of you just joining us, maybe getting home from work on a Friday afternoon, first pitch temperature at 44, wind chill in the mid-30s, and falling quickly. Swisher draws a 1-out walk. I'd like to welcome in the 4th member of our broadcast team again here today and say hello to Chris Myers. Hi, Chris.
Hey, Tom. I have a really cool spot down here on the field. After batting practice, one of the A's players remarked, said, what about that global warming thing? But the players are reacting in different ways. Eric Chavez is putting like a deep heating rub all over his body. Ivan Rodriguez said, I'm not a layer guy. Curtis Granderson said, you got to make up your mind whether you want to be warm or flexible enough to swing. The pitchers are worried about gripping the ball. But, Lou, it sounds like the hitters here, when it's colder, are more at a disadvantage.
Well, the pitchers have a bigger advantage. If they can grip the ball and command the strike zone, it's much tougher with the hitters. You've got
in the air right field, over to get it is Maglia Ordonez for the 2nd out.
Your eyes, they get watery. If the wind's blowing a little bit, creates a little bit more of a problem. You start squeezing that bat. You don't want to get jammed. You're out in front of off-speed pitches. It's just a tough assignment. And the right approach is to go to right center field with the ball. And Detroit did that very well in the first inning.
A lot of first pitch swinging.
D'Angelo Jimenez, 2 hits and 7 at-bats. He is playing in place of the injured Mark Ellis. We talked about that pickoff move for Kenny Rogers. Ranked as the best in Major League Baseball course, those that saw the Yankees for a long time and that see the Houston Astros pretty regularly might say, well, what about Andy Pettitte?
Chris Capuano, another lefty with an outstanding move.
Well, Ian better be careful over there. He hasn't played first base all that long. He might get picked off himself.
Yeah, you don't want to pick off your first baseman. He's going to have total concentration, which will make his adjustment to playing first base a little bit tougher.
Ian only made 4 starts during the regular season at first. The last being on August the 31st, but then after the injury to Sean Casey in game 1, Guillen finished that game at first and then started and finished game 2 at first. Rolled over foul. All right, our keys to game 3, Mr. Piniella, brought to you by MasterCard.
Well, for Oakland, Big Frank Thomas needs to get back being the big hurt. He carried Oakland the second half of the season against Minnesota in the divisional series. So far, he hasn't done much in this. Oakland needs his bat to get en fuego and el frío.
Oh, little Espanol.
And for Detroit, patience with Rich Harden. He's coming off elbow injury. I'm not too sure about his stamina. So the Detroit hitters have to show some patience, which they have, make them pitch, and hopefully they'll get the Oakland bullpen early.
1-2 to count. That's fouled back out of play. The bilingual Lou Piniella.
It's funny, they're Lou's oblong some Espanol there, and I'm still looking for my wallet. I don't understand them, and I don't want to sit close to them now.
Coming up right after game 3 here, Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, Luis Gonzalez. And Ken Rosenthal will be from Shea Stadium in New York. A masterpiece last night turned in by Tom Glavine. Outstanding relief work by Guillermo Mota and Billy Wagner in a 2-0 Mets win. 1-2 again on D'Angelo Jimenez.
Well, you can see that Kenny Rogers flipped that curveball up there, and it got away from him.
And that can happen anytime. There's no question. You blame the cold here. You see the top finger off of the ball, and just that one just got away from him. And you can see Pudge has to jump out of the box to get it, and then he kind of looked at his hand afterwards.
Well, sometimes pitchers like to put a little pine tar.
That's not legal.
No, but sometimes they do on their hands.
What are you saying, Lou?
I'm not saying anything. I'm saying sometimes pitchers, you know, in really, really cold weather, they got the little stickum or stuff that.
So they're cheating.
I didn't know.
Hey, you know they're doing whatever they can to get some extra gription on the ball.
2-2 to count on Rogers, trying to keep those fingers warm. To the left side, Inge is there. The inning is over. A walk, 1 left after an inning and a half. Tigers in front, 2-0. Set to begin the bottom half of the second inning at Comerica Park in downtown Detroit, Michigan. And the Tigers have jumped out to a 2-0 lead. Harden walked the first batter, a hit and run single by Monroe, put him on the corners. Polanco knocked in a run with a hit, a fielder's choice by Maglio Ordonez brought in the second run. But after that, Harden got the double play from Guillen, and we'll see if he can settle in here in the second. Pudge Rodriguez down a strike. 2 hits and 8 at bats, including a solo home run.
And what a job Pudge has done with this young Detroit Tiger pitching staff.
Broken bat, soft liner at Jimenez, 1 away.
Now, we told you the pitches that Rich Harden throws. Let's show them to you. Some great camera work. Watch the grips on each pitch. There's the fastball. There's the circle change. You see the index finger and thumb put together as a circle, and there's your split finger. That's the big tumbling action of that ball out of his hand down in the zone. That's the pitch that got him the double play and out of the inning.
And we talked about the necessity of Harden having to use all his pitches.
Omar Infante, a .277 batter during the regular season, making his first postseason appearance at the plate. And his first appearance, period, in this LCS.
Well, he's got a quick bat. He's got some speed.
Infante, in his third full season at the big league level, was primarily the Tigers' utility infielder. Had a real good second half to this season. After Polanco went down, Infante had a lot of playing time, and in 44 games after the break, hit .293. 3 balls and a strike.
Oh, what Jim Leland likes about this guy is that he is one of those guys that can be a utility player. He can sit on the bench for 9 straight days and pick up a bat and go get a couple hits. That is very difficult. Maybe the hardest thing to do in baseball is not play consistently and still be able to hit.
Boy, it's so much easier in the National League to get those type of players in your lineup with the double switches and so forth. The bench plays a lot more in that league than it does in the American League.
Players stay sharper on your bench, right?
Yeah, and they come to the ballpark a little more prepared. They know they're not starting. They've got a chance to get in there.
3-2 the count on Omar Infante. And it's ball 4, the second walk issued by Rich Harden. For those of you that weren't with us for game 2 of this ALCS, the Tiger pitchers ripped off 6 consecutive strikeouts late in the game, an LCS record. Esteban Loaiza gave up 7 earned runs in 6 innings. And Milton Bradley, one of only 3 players ever to hit a home run from each side of the plate in a postseason game. Those are the 3 records that were set in that game 2. Strike 1 on Brandon Inge, who had a monster game 1. Was on base 4 times in the series opener. 3 hits, including a solo home run and a run scoring double. On the ground, they'll have to hurry. Turned by Jimenez and not in time to get in. Very slowly hit ball, and Inge able to leg it out.
Scudero, normally a second baseman, better second baseman than shortstop, but this is a smooth, quick turn by Scudero. Throw a little bit to Jimenez right side, which makes it a little tougher to turn that double play. But Scudero is also thinking, hey, if I keep the ball on the right side of the bag, I keep my second baseman out of trouble.
Yeah, it's a little harder with that type of feed to get a good, crisp throw to first base.
Now Ramon Santiago, in his 3rd year with the Tigers after returning to the team as a minor league free agent prior to the season, spent most of this year at the big league level, was also down at AAA Toledo, and an 80 at-bats, a .225 batter with 3 RBIs.
I think he only walked once all year.
80 at-bats.
Thou shalt not pass.
Well, that's what Jimmy Leland was saying. I want to make him take a strike. He's a free swinger. I got him in there for his defense, but I want to see if he can get on base somehow.
Oh, diamond vision. Diamond vision. I got
1 on, 2 out, 2 balls and a strike on Santiago. Harden a long look over and misses inside 3-1. And based on what you guys just talked about in our conversation with Jim Leland, perhaps even on a 3-1 count, would he ask Santiago to take a pitch to get Granderson to the plate?
Well, I don't think so. I think you'll let him swing here on this 3-1 pitch. That's how you give a hitter a little confidence.
He did swing away.
Well, it's going to be the best pitch you're going to see at that at bat. He's in the lineup. He's in the playoffs. He's got to hack every once in a while.
Yeah, if you don't let a guy swing 3-1, you might have him taking 3-2 also.
That's a lot of confidence. 3-2 on Santiago. Runner goes, and it's ball 4 inside. Second walk of the inning, third walk in the game. Is the weather having an effect on this native Canadian?
Well, like
I
Steve,
grew up in it. I spent 6-7 years in Calgary. Where it was minus 30 Celsius, and spent a lot of time in Victoria, BC. And I grew up playing in that weather. Grew up playing hockey out in the pond. And that's something that I like. I feel energized in the cold weather. As long as I'm prepared, as long as I get loose before and stay loose in between innings, I should be fine.
2 walks here in the inning, and now Granderson, who led off the game with a walk and scored the first of 2 Tiger runs in the opening inning. Two on, 2 out. And now 2 balls and no strikes.
well, that pitch count is getting up there very early in the ball game.
40 of them through the first 2 innings.
Well, he threw 96 pitches in 5 innings in that start he made in instructional league just to get him some work. Walked 6 guys in that ball game. He does not have a history of control problems, but since the elbow issue, all of a sudden, he's not throwing strikes.
A 4-pitch walk to Granderson to load him up for Monroe. And again, Kurt Young, the pitching coach, will come out and visit Rich Harden.
But Tommy, this is one of the reasons, too, that Monroe's hitting number 2 in the lineup. Jim Leland told us that he occasionally hit him number 2 in the lineup. We've been more accustomed to see him hit in the back half of the order, 7th, 8th, or 9th. He said, I want to give him a chance to get maybe 1 extra at bat. He might hit a long ball in a crucial situation, and I would say right now would be one of those situations.
Monroe had 2 hits, drove in 3 runs in game 2, was hitless in the opener, but during the regular season hit 28 home runs and knocked in 92 runs. Monroe without a grand slam this season. And the bottom fell out of that pitch, so he took something off rather than just a fastball to Monroe.
The biggest problem he's had is commanding his fastball. When he's thrown his off-speed pitches, he's given himself a chance.
In Santiago, and Granderson aboard with 2 away. Came with a fastball that time, and Monroe was right on it, fouling it straight back.
Dangerous pitch up in the strike zone. Whew.
Good swing, just fouled it straight back. I think you'll see a split finger pitch here with 2 strikes.
Got a lot of confidence in Jason Kendall that he'll block the ball. So if Kendall calls for the split, he'll want it in the dirt.
Threw a fastball up and away.
He just really overthrew that ball. You see how far he fell off to the first base side. Usually pitching coach teach you to drive that shoulder right at the hitter.
Well, there's that pitch he was trying to get Monroe to chase in the dirt. And now after getting ahead 0-2, the count is even at 2-2. Boy, what a big pitch is coming up right now. With all the control problems that Harden has had at the start of this game, the last thing he wants to do is go 3-2.
And if I were Harden, I'd throw the split finger again, right on this count.
Which he did, and he got it. The strikeout. So Harden walks him loaded, leaves him loaded. 2-0 at the end of 2. Nothing. Tigers lead at the end of 2 in Game 3 of this American League Championship Series. On this Friday the 13th in the Motor City. 6th time, by the way, in postseason history. A game has been played on a Friday the 13th. And of course the character from all those Halloween movies shares the same first name as the Oakland catcher.
Jason. And he wears a mask too.
0-1 delivery. Kendall showing butt, asking you shall receive. A tale of two. On the ground, and Santiago far to his left, picks it up and throws out Kendall. That's why Jim Leland put him in the lineup, knowing that Kenny Rogers is very much a ground ball pitcher.
Guillen does a nice job defensively, has all year, but he doesn't have this kind of range. Santiago, one of the best, they say here. He doesn't get the opportunity to play and works very well with Pac-Man here. The bench coach, Rafael Belliard, who they called Pac-Man because he used to eat up everything.
Patsy down a strike. He fouled out on that marvelous play made by Brandon Inge going into the first row of the stands in the opening inning. Whereas Belliard played for Jim Leland in Pittsburgh.
Had all those great years with the Braves as well. Now they're calling Santiago Pac-Man. He gets to it, you're out.
Yeah, it was Belliard and Sid Bream that both signed as free agents with the Atlanta Braves back in 1991. And that started a string of 14 consecutive divisional championships for the Atlanta Braves, which of course this season finally came to an end. 1-2 to Kotsay. Fastball just missed.
It's interesting to have a play where Santiago actually fields the ball and throws to Guillen at first. Santiago was traded to the Seattle Mariners for Guillen. Later re-signed with the organization, and now he's back in the big leagues.
2-2 to Kotsay. Strike three called and Mark Miller. Must have been looking breaking ball. That's a fastball right down the can.
You're right, Tommy. Fastball right out over the plate with 2 strikes. As a hitter, you should be protecting the outer half of the plate. So he probably was looking for a breaking ball.
That's about as close to the middle of the plate as you're going to see Rogers throw anything.
Boy, when I played, pitchers like Rogers were hard to hit. They gave you that illusion of the strike.
Tommy John.
Tantalize you. Tommy John, perfect example.
John Franco, guys that never really throw a lot of strikes. Everything just looks like one.
It's hard to lay off of it.
Milton Bradley quickly behind 0-2.
Against a pitcher like this, I liked, as a hitter, to crowd the plate and get up in front of the box and get that ball before it sank out of the zone.
Well, it's something you used to see frequently, Lou, when you played. A lot of guys making adjustments in the batter's box. You don't see it much anymore.
Using the batter's box to your advantage, making the pitcher adjust to you.
Hit the breaking ball before it breaks.
Exactly. And today, most of the guys stand in the exact same spot.
On Bradley. Fastball away. Bradley has been a shining star for the Athletics so far in this postseason. Two-two pitch. Grounded foul. For the A's in games 1 and 2 of this league championship series, Milton has been a one-man band. See the rest of the team hitting .213 with only 1 home run and 2 runs batted in. Bradley doubled in each category. And the only Athletic in this series with a base hit with runners in scoring position. How about that? A 1-2-3 third for Kenny Rogers. Still 2-0 Tigers in game 3. Bottom of the third inning, game 3 of this American League Championship Series. And the Tigers behind Kenny Rogers with a 2-0 lead. It'll be Polanco, Ordonez, and Guillen against Rich Harden here in the third.
Now, Polanco's hit just about everything Oakland's thrown up there, except the ball on the inside half of the plate. I'd challenge him hard inside.
Fastball on the outside edge, 1-1 on Polanco, who had a run-scoring single in the opening inning. He now has 5 hits and 9 at-bats during this league championship series. Pitch in, 2-1.
And there he goes again, working the count, getting himself into position where he gets a better pitch to hit.
In the air down the left field line towards the corner, fair ball. Over to get it is Bradley, and Polanco with a 2-base hit to begin the Tigers' third. Getting hit it hard, but hit it in the right spot.
Watch him from the side here. He gets out in front just a little bit. You see the top half starting to go with him there. He got fooled by that pitch, but because he's such a good opposite field hitter, this is kind of a lazy, loping fly ball down the left field line, but they're not playing him over there.
And that's the danger of throwing the off-speed pitch when you're shifting your outfield a little bit towards right center.
This ball stays in the air a long time down there. It hits easily in fair territory, but no one over there to make the play.
Yeah, it was an off-speed pitch, and what Polanco really did well, he kept his hands back. Flipped that ball down the left field line.
Ordonez about it. And takes down and in, 2 balls and no strikes. Ordonez knocked in a run with a fielder's choice ground ball at the shortstop Scudero.
And Jimenez, the second baseman, is the one that's trying to hold the runner a little bit. I'd leave him alone. Ordonez should try to go that way with the ball.
Slow roller up the third base line. That is a fair ball. A very poor at bat by Ordonez. I mean, he's your cleanup hitter and trying to knock in runs. But he doesn't even advance the runner on that weak ground ball, and staying at second base is Polanco.
Well, everybody has to play. Chavez is going to make this play down the line. You don't worry about whether the umpire is going to call it fair or foul. You make the play. He rounded it off, picked it up. Ordonez thought it was a foul ball, so he didn't really run it out. This is a play where you can be safe if you're really hustling.
That ball just stayed fair. It hugged the line. Usually those balls have a tendency just to roll off into foul territory.
Now Guillen, he ended the first inning on a ground ball double play that started with Nick Swisher. Swing and a miss. Harden threw a fastball right by him. Told you Harden grew up in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, playing mostly in the outfield during the summer leagues. You don't play a whole lot of high school baseball in Canada. Was drafted by the Mariners in the 38th round of '99. Decided not to sign. Went to Central Arizona Junior College. That ball in the air to right center field. Potse is there for the second out. So by failing to advance the runner, Detroit will not score on the fly ball, the third run of the game. For more on Rich Harden, let's check in with Chris Meyer.
Yeah, Tom, just about an hour before the game, the staff of the A's, they were considering having Harden wear a heated sleeve. It's a contraption that Larry Davis got a while ago. It's almost like an electric blanket that wraps around the pitcher's arm that has coils that keeps it warm. But that hockey Canada mentality, Harden said he didn't need it, and he's out there trying to tough it out.
2 away, and now Pudge Rodriguez.
I wonder if they could send that blanket up here.
You have 2 heaters next to you. Steve didn't have a single one next to him. Ball 1 to Rodriguez.
I've got one now, though. Toasty.
Pudge, a .433 batter with runners in scoring position during his postseason career. That fastball just ate him out. There's that splitter again. It's swung on and fouled out of play. Harden in this inning appears to be getting better command with his stuff. This is by far his sharpest inning.
He's using all his pitches more. With 2 strikes here, Rodriguez loves to go to right center field with the ball. Really a good 2-strike hitter.
Polanco, the runner at second base, 2 away, 1-2 pitch. Looked like the breaking ball that stayed high.
It's really been a struggle for Harden, which is uncharacteristic. Leads Major League Baseball in the first 3 innings of opponent's batting average. League gets a .148 against him in the first 3 innings. Not today.
Strike 3 to Rodriguez will end the inning. 1 man left. And big Frank Thomas looking to get off the schneid. 0 for 8 in this LCS. He'll start things in the Oakland 4th. Sellout crowd at Comerica Park in downtown Detroit, Michigan. Game 3 of this American League Championship Series. And the Athletics trail Kenny Rogers and the Tigers 2-0.
Well, on this at-bat to Frank Thomas, I don't think Kenny Rogers is just going to stand out there and pump him fastballs. But Frank will see his most hittable pitches in this at-bat with nobody on base.
See great numbers in the career of Thomas against Kenny Rogers. Beautiful breaking ball from the Detroit left-hander. He's ahead 0-2.
Watch the location of this pitch. Big breaker, but right there. And his index finger off the top of that ball. He throws a curveball virtually with 1 finger.
We asked Jim Leland about Kenny Rogers before his last start. It turned into that 7 2/3 innings of shutout baseball against the Yankees. He said he's never seen a pitcher in all his years as a major league coach, a minor league manager, or a major league manager, where one pitcher was more focused, more prepared, and more ready for a start than Kenny Rogers was against the Yankees.
And it showed.
Hadn't beat the Yankees in 13 years. Went out there and dominated, and these Detroit fans had never seen that kind of emotion. Nobody had seen that kind of emotion out of Kenny Rogers.
1-2 pitch. Fastball locks up Thomas, and the struggles for the Oakland slugger continue. Gotta wonder why he's arguing that pitch. That's no doubt, that's strike 3.
Well, in all his years, for as great a hitter as Frank Thomas has been, he's struggled knowing where the inner half of that plate is, and that ball's right there.
Well, that pitch was set up by those 2 tantalizing slow curveballs that Kenny Rogers threw earlier in the count.
Jay Payton, first pitch swinging, and he's out number 2. Eric Chavez wearing a microphone for us. We eavesdropped on his conversation with Nick Swisher a short while ago.
By the way, we sputter throughout the year, and we come up with hits when we have to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
By the way, you hit to the wrong part.
Yeah. We got knocked down. When I hit it, I thought it was gone.
When you did it, I thought it was going off of Heilman Landon.
Yeah, I thought it was gone.
The ball don't travel like from blue to blue.
It travels that way, though, straight left.
For Eric Chavez, he thought he got every bit of that pitch from Rogers back in the second inning that sent Granderson to the warning track.
Well, they hit it to one of the deeper parts of the field, and today, with the cold and the wind, you're going to have to use a cannon to hit it out to right field here.
15 batters now in the game for Oakland. Kenny Rogers has thrown all but 2 a first pitch strike.
You know, in talking about this Detroit outfield, they're used to playing in this park, and they've got a big advantage. This is a spacious ballpark. They bunch into the middle, they give the lines, and that center fielder, Granderson, can go get the ball.
One and one. Slow breaking ball for strike 2.
the underwhelming speed at 79 miles an hour. It's not the speed, it's the movement that gets you.
Boy, when I played, fans didn't have these white handkerchiefs.
Well, they did. They just used to blow their nose with them at that point.